eh?
Yes, I've got my list.
Got your list. Okay, I've got a couple of things I wanted to talk about. But you let me know if the fan sound is getting picked up by the mic. Anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong. This is a podcast that doesn't have a succinct tagline, but we generally talk about pop culture, celebrity deaths. We talk about the state of the world, AI taking over, the fall of civilizations, the decline, the enshittification of modern life, and many other things as well. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing okay. Enjoying the hot weather in London. It's very humid. It's a joke also that we, like most good English people, we like to talk about the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, clear this up for me. I'm not English. I have a
you are now. You have a British passport.
No. I have a British passport. So I'm a British citizen, but Britain is made up of what?
England, Ireland, and Scotland. No, England, Scotland, and Wales. Sorry, England, Scotland, and Wales.
England, Ireland, Scotland, France. I see Honey's underpants.
Uh-huh.
So,
which is a line. It's a line from a John Waters film. For those wondering what if Sean's having a stroke.
So, I'm not English. English would refer to somebody who was born in England, right?
I grew here, you flew here.
So when people say that to me, oh, you're English now, and I'm like, well, I'm not.
You're British.
I'm a British citizen. I'm British, but I suppose I'm Australian. But it's so weird, isn't it? That sort of like, do you claim English identity? Do you think you're English?
Yeah, sometimes, but like all identities, they're not mutually exclusive, and you can identify with multiple things at the same time. I consider myself English, British. I consider myself European. I consider myself a little bit Australian as well. I mean, I've got dual.
A little bit
citizen.
A little bit Alexis.
A little bit Alexis. And. I consider myself a little bit Jewish, a little bit Scottish. What else? I'm sure there are others. But
a little bit of a
little bit of Monica, a little bit of Gina. That was a pub quiz question the other day. Actually, it was like, can you name 5 of the women from that? What was that song even called?
Mambo Number 5.
Mambo Number 5. Yeah.
I think that's always a pub quiz question.
It's a really good piece of general knowledge to have up your sleeve, that's for sure.
Right. So
you consider yourself Australian.
I consider myself British. Part of the family. What's that from? Is that Oliver Twist or something? Or
consider yourself part of the family.
Yeah,
maybe it's Oliver Twist. I'm not sure.
Right. So where were we even going with this conversation? Well,
I don't know. Didn't you bring it up? Oh, well, we talking about the weather. It's such a British thing.
So it's a very
English thing.
Very English. Do you think it's more English, or do you think it's a British thing?
I think it's a British thing, and I think it's a stereotype that bears true because of the climate and the geography of the UK. I think we have such not extremes of weather, but we have such unreliable weather. It can change. Some parts of the world, they get a very defined spring, a very defined summer and winter. We just, I don't know, it changes from year to year. We have very, very interesting and unusual climates. And I think that's why we are so obsessed with the weather.
Well, I think it's predictably dreary, but that's just me being vile.
No, I mean, it hasn't been. Last week has been like blazing hot and sunny, not dreary at all. So I don't know.
Not every day. I mean, it's not like you get a full month of sunshine and warmth. You might get a couple of days.
Rarely.
And then it goes back to 21 and
it has
cloudy.
Happened. It has happened. Do you remember? Well, I don't know. Actually, you weren't here, were you? When lockdown first happened, you were still in Mexico, but the weather during the lockdown, I don't know. So when did lockdown come into effect? Like end of March 2020? Yeah, 2020. And I think that April and May of that year were like the most spectacular, like
when
swarm.
nobody was allowed outside.
Where I mean, yeah, I was lucky I had a garden. But yeah, it was beautiful, beautiful weather. And then it all went to shit after that.
So am I allowed to start by you tell me where I'm going wrong with this subject?
Which subject?
Me fighting with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tell me. So you did message me the other day and said you'd
Okay,
had a
you
like.
remember, I think I've mentioned it in the past, right, on the pod.
Yeah, they
Like
get into the
where
building.
they sneak into the building, like the sneaky little Jehovah's Witnesses that they are. They sneak into the building and then they go around. I don't know how many homes are on each floor here. Is it like 8 or
Yeah, I think I would
one,
guess
two, three,
8.
four, five, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, I think about 8. And it's like a 15-story building. So there's quite a few apartments or flats.
Mm-hmm.
And they go and they knock on every door and they try and, what's the term? Like pro.
I don't know how to say it. Proselytize.
Okay, anyone listening, put it. Well, you'd only just be typing the word anyway. I don't know what I'm thinking. Ask you to tell us how to pronounce it. Send us a voice note.
Write it out phonetically.
But last time they came, remember, I was like, am I the asshole because I got them kicked out?
Mm-hmm.
So this time they came. And do you know, on our front door inside the building, like in the front door to our apartment, we have that little framed sign that says Ola
Oh yeah.
that Kay gave us.
Yep.
And so these people, this really wound me up. This set me off on the wrong foot straight away.
Mm-hmm.
When I opened the door, and I was naked, but I only opened the door a crack to look out so they didn't see my crack. But they said to me, "Hola, cómo está?" You know, they started speaking to me in Spanish because they saw that sign on the door.
Mm-hmm.
And that instantly just fucking wound me up. I don't know why, but it just pushed me from 0 to 100 straight away. I was like, don't come in here with your bullshit and try and talk to me in Spanish. My Spanish isn't even good enough to speak to you.
You were like, okay?
Yeah, okay, no entiendo. And then I just was like, what are you doing here? How did you get in
know
the
straight
building?
away that they were JW?
Yeah, they had, because the JW always have the flyer in their hand, and because one of their tactics of like trying to trick you into engaging with them is they hand you something so you'll instinctively take it.
Yeah.
Like that's a technique they use. It's like it's not just something they randomly do. It's like, here, this is for you, without even telling you what it is. And I'm like, I don't want that. How did you get in the building? Oh, we're here to talk to you. I said, no, that's not the question I asked you. I said, how did you get in the building? And I was furious. Like, I'm so annoyed. And I said, look, I'm going to give you a head start. I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to come downstairs and get security and get you out of this building. And they were like, oh, don't be like that. I said, I'm not being like anything. How did you get in the building? You're not meant to be here. And I went right off. Anyway, long story longer, I went downstairs to the estate office where the estate workers are. And I just said, look, these people are in the building. It's happened before. They need to get out. And they said, okay, we'll call the guard. So now I'm a narc. I'm like calling security on people. And as I was going back up in the lift, I keep going to say words and then thinking, I've just said I'm British. I can't say elevator. I need to say lift.
Yeah.
I was going up, and I live on the 4th floor. The elevator stopped on the 1st floor, and they were trying to get in the elevator. And I was at this stage, I was just blind rage yelling at them, saying, why are you still in this building?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And they were like, don't talk to us like that. You're not the police. And I said, no, but I'm a resident who pays to live in this building. There is a big sign on the door. You know that you're not meant to come in. It says on the door, you also know from common sense that you're not meant to come in, and that what you're doing is duplicitous. You've somehow gained entry, whether you know someone or you snuck in beside someone. I said, there are vulnerable people that live in this building, and you're taking advantage of them. And one of them remained quite calm, and then one of them was getting quite antsy with me. She was like, you don't need to talk to me like that. And I said, how would you feel if you went inside your building or your house and I was stood inside it? How would you feel? And she said, well, if you were Jehovah's Witness, I wouldn't mind. I said, that's the most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Right.
I said, and I was screaming at them. I said, I'm going to walk you out of here. You can either walk down the stairs or get in the lift with me.
Yeah.
And they were like, we won't do what you said. I said, get in the lift. And like, I was so furious, and I felt like such a Karen road rage, like angry person, but I was getting, because they were just resisting leaving the building.
Right.
And said that they had a right to be in there because they were spreading good messages.
A God-given right. Yeah.
Anyway, so I got them outside. The estate agent was out there, and she was trying to be a bit more diplomatic than I was, but saying to them, look, you can't come in here. And they were like, oh, we understand. We're about kindness, blah, blah, blah. I said, you're not about kindness and compassion, or you would understand that you're not meant to do that, and that you would be respectful of the what did I say? I said something like the social construction that you're not meant to come into other people's buildings. Anyway, I was shouting at them, never come back here again. Never. And one of them said to me, well, what was the date again you're moving out? And that's what I really, like, I was angry before that. And I just said, hey, don't worry about it, because I'll probably still be living here by the time you die and go to wherever it is you believe you are going to go to. So don't worry about it.
Sue, you're absolutely vile.
And then I went in, and as the door was shutting of the building, I screamed out, and remember, never come back here ever again. And I was so furious, and I was shaking, and obviously I overreacted. Like, I was triggered. But what's your take on this situation?
Well, I mean, I can see both sides, because if you are a Jehovah's Witness, you're so brainwashed into thinking that what you're doing is God's work, it's the right thing, you're saving souls, you're spreading the good word, you're helping people, it's like you think it's a form of charity. And so I sympathize with people who have been brainwashed. Like, it's not really their fault, but I don't think what you did was that out of line. I mean, maybe the thing about when you die, I mean, that was maybe a bee's dick too far.
Yeah, like when I was about to say, I'll dance on your grave.
Yeah, I spit on your grave. But I mean, yeah, I think that you were in the right. Nobody should be in the building who is not authorized to be in the building. I mean, that's just the fucking, I don't know if it's the law, but it's a rule. And it's a societal rule that we need to follow. You've had stuff stolen from outside your front door within the building before, because people are in the building.
Probably by Jehovah's Witnesses.
Probably by Jehovah himself.
Who the fuck is Jehovah?
Well, I don't know. See, I think Jehovah was the person. I don't know. I'm just making this up now. I thought Jehovah's Witness was it's a sect of Christianity that was created. I don't know if it is. Are you doing some live research?
Well, I'm looking at criticisms of. Okay, there's a few things I want to talk about here. Yeah. One, the first thing I saw is on this Wikipedia page is a description as a cult. So it's regarded by a lot of sociologists as a cult. It has coercion tactics, like many cults do. They do things like excommunication of people.
Yeah.
But this is a thing with religions like this, like Scientology. I have somewhat of an issue, or a moral issue, with most religions. I would say all religions, like, to a degree. Some of them are less harmful, I think. But these new religions that are, like, if somebody believes something existed for 4,000 years, that's one thing, or 2,000 years.
And isn't JW a relatively new religion?
Yeah, like this dude.
Wasn't it an American guy called Jehovah who...
No, his name is Raymond Franz.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, yeah. And he bore witness to some apparition or something, and he wrote it all down.
You might think of the Mormon thing.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but Raymond Franz, he was the writer of Crisis of Conscience, former member of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, no, sorry, maybe he didn't form it.
It's interesting. Do you know that there's that podcast, The Guilty Feminist? Do you know that one?
Yeah.
And Deborah Francis Wright, who's the host, she's Australian. Well, she's Australian British, Sue, like you. But she was brought up in a Jehovah's Witness community in Queensland, actually.
What's her name?
Deborah Francis White,
Okay.
and she talks a lot about it is purely a cult. Like it
Yes.
really is, and
Yeah.
most people who are ex JW say it is completely a cult, and it's
Yeah.
an incredibly patriarchal cult, which
Yeah.
most of them are.
Wasn't
Religions and cults. Wasn't
wasn't
what?
Prince
Yeah, he was
Jehovah?
JW.
Okay, so it was founded in 1881. So to me, it's not an ancient religion.
No.
So to me, it is a modern scam or a cult. You know, people worked out, hey, religions are good coercion tools.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start one. That's what it is. It's not anything mystical or anything. They're just straight up cults or multi-tier marketing or whatever. Right?
Yes and no. I don't think you can. I don't think we can know that. Without knowing, it could be somebody who genuinely believed they had found some path to truth or whatever.
Well,
although, yeah,
I'm going to be even more insensitive then. If somebody truly believes that they had divine inspiration to start a religion, I think that's mental illness.
Well, yeah. I was going to get there, but what I was going to say was, it just seems incredibly convenient, doesn't it, that most of these visions that they have involve them profiting or profiteering off of their vision, off of their path to truth and light, like all of the televangelists and stuff like that.
Do you know, you don't watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but there is a famous queen who won one of the All-Star seasons, called Sasha Colby, and she's like very good friends with Chapel Rowan, like what's the saying, like where Chappell says, I'm your favorite pop star's favorite pop star, or I'm your favorite singer's favorite singer.
Yeah.
So she got that from Sasha Colby, is referred to, I'm your favorite drag queen's favorite drag queen.
Yeah.
And so Chappell sort of paid homage by using that term.
It was an indirect reference.
And so Sasha Colby grew up Jehovah's Witness in Hawaii. And she said once that, because the Jehovah's Witness are kind of like the Mormons, where they are expected to go around on mission and everything and go to different places in the world. Yeah. She said once in Hawaii, knocking door to door and going to church was Prince. Like at the height, like he was one of the most famous people in the world.
Yeah, I've heard that many times. That he even through the height of his fame, he was proselytizing, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where we were. I don't know if there was anything else I wanted to say about that, except I lost my temper with the Jehovah's Witness people.
Well, fine. I mean, you're already condemned to hell for your lifestyle. So now you've just secured your place in hell.
Yeah, and I live in an ex-council flat, but there are a lot of council tenants living here, people who are vulnerable in one way or another. I mean, we all are, but there are people who live in supported housing here. And that's the sort of people that are preyed on by that people like JW and
it preys on vulnerable people in all across society. Okay, so can I be devil's advocate? What's an organization that you 100% agree with? So, like, I don't know, Amnesty International. What if Amnesty International were in the building soliciting signatures for in support of Gaza?
I would probably still tell them to leave and tell them how to get permission. I might not lose my temper as much. I might not be as triggered emotionally by who they are, what they were doing, but I would still tell them to leave.
Yeah.
Because things are stolen. I mean, not only me having my medicine stolen from that delivery, but my neighbors have had multiple parcels stolen. So, and somebody could pretend to be Amnesty or Jehovah and get in and then steal. So,
yeah. No, I think you were in the right. I think in the eyes of God.
Yeah, in the eyes of Jehovah, I don't like how people get away with extra things or extra steps or take liberties because of religion.
Mm-hmm.
They say, like, don't worry about us, we're just Jehovah's Witness. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's why I'm more worried.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm not interested in that. So talking of cults,
Mm-hmm.
can I talk to you about a modern cult? Can I pivot?
Sure.
What do you know? If I said this word to you, tell me everything you know. Labubu.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Come on now, you can't be that out of touch with pop culture.
How do you spell it?
L
Bubu?
Yeah,
I
Labubu.
think maybe I've seen it referenced, but I don't understand. Like a lot of
You're
things.
chronically offline. You know how people talk about being chronically online?
But I'm not. I am chronically online, but
Okay.
I'm just not
You will
looking at the
probably
right
know
things.
do you have your phone with you?
Yes.
Can you do an image search of Labubu? And then you just tell me if you haven't seen this, then we do have a problem. Labubu. There are probably people watching this saying, I can't believe that he doesn't know what a Labubu is. And then there are other people saying, oh, yeah, I have no idea what that means either.
Is
So
this? Am I supposed to recognize this?
you don't recognize that toy.
No.
Okay. So this is a toy. It was a character created by a Hong Kong-born artist
Mm-hmm.
named Casing Lung. And it was created I don't know when he first drew it, but it was launched by a toy company on How to Work called How to Work in 2015. And it was a series of toys called the Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those shops around? There's some around London, around the UK, but they're all around the world called um, Pop Mart. They're like all little collectible toys. And
No.
do you remember there used to be one around the corner from where I lived in Soho on Shaftesbury Avenue? There's one on Oxford Street. Anyway, in 2000, and I've got some notes here because I'll get it wrong and the Labubu fans will come for me. But in 2019, this artist and this toy company did an exclusive deal with Pop Mart to recreate these characters that he'd created. And they were popular. Like, we actually have some of the little figurines that we bought when we were living in Soho back in 2021. In 2024, do you know the band Blackpink?
Yeah, I recognize the name.
Okay, they're like a K-pop supergroup, like four women.
Yeah.
The woman who sings Apata with Bruno
Rosie.
Mars,
Yeah.
Rose,
Yeah.
she is in Blackpink.
Blackpink. Yeah. Yeah.
Lisa from Blackpink was photographed wearing one of these stuffed toy versions of Labubu attached to her handbag. And since then, it has blown up into the biggest thing ever, like bigger than Cabbage Patch Kids, bigger than anything. So in the space of a year, the guy who owns Pop Mart, he's not the artist who drew it, the guy who owns the shop that has the exclusive license for them, his personal wealth has gone from $1 billion to $28 billion. His personal wealth. The sale of these toys in a year is something like 580 billion or something ridiculous. These toys are so massive. And I wanted to talk to you. I thought you would have lots to say about them. I thought you would know about Labubu and have seen the.
I'm chronically out of touch.
Okay, so the way they sell them, they create this false sense of scarcity with them by putting them in sealed boxes so you don't know which one you're going to get. Do you know how people sell toys like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I'm feeling. Do you know what? I'm just feeling. It's really irritating me. It's really making me angry because I think about all the fucking things that we could be doing as humans, all the things that the injustices that need addressing in the world.
Yeah.
And we're fucking spending billions and billions of pounds or dollars or whatever on just shit.
Hundreds
like
of
shit
billions.
Wrapped in plastic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so sorry to like go off on a fucking tangent, but it enrages me, and I'm like, And I
This, by the way, this is exactly the response I expected.
okay,
This is the content that 100 people who listen to us come for
100,
our
120 sometimes. Um,
indignation.
I haven't logged into Apple Podcasts recently to check our stats there, but no, I just and okay, so in the same vein as Jehovah's Witnesses,
Hmm.
I think to myself, I don't spend my money on that shit. Like I think, oh, I'm in the right. I'm doing the right thing here. I
Yeah,
still am part of a broken system. So I
yeah.
don't want. I'm not saying this to like get myself off the hook and externalize it and say, oh, fucking Labubu, whatever is wrong, or whatever that shop is called.
Hop Mart.
Pop Mart is the everything that's wrong with society, because we're all guilty of doing awful destructive things. But I don't know, just when you tell me stuff like this, I'm just like, what on earth? What the actual fuck?
Well, there was some of the problematic things with this. It is wasteful, right? It, like you said, there's huge amounts of money that can be redirected in other ways, including
Mm-hmm.
into people's own personal well-being. I'm not saying you have to give that money away to
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
These things are not cheap to buy. That the psychological marketing that goes into it, like putting them in boxes that you don't know what's in it, so you have to buy multiple, like encourages multiple purchases.
Yeah.
It creates like the same pleasure reward responses in your brain that other forms of addiction do, like gambling or food addiction or shopping or telephones,
Mm-hmm.
people being addicted to TikTok. It plays on those same weaknesses or pathways in our brains to make money. And so it is, yeah, and it creates a false sense of scarcity. So they're saying, hey, there are these limited edition Labubus of a certain color or a size or shape, whatever. And if you get one of them, you're lucky or special. So there are all of these videos online of people unboxing Labubus and then crying and shaking when they get the special one, which then feeds into that mass hysteria around getting the special scarce Labubu. It's very, very troubling.
I
I don't like it
despair.
all.
I just despair. And
And also,
yeah, go on.
well, in May this year, I think there are about 16 Pop Mart shops around the UK now. It started with one in London. They had to shut down for a while because people were fist fighting in the stores trying to get when a new drop would come, a new stock load would come. People were fighting each other, and Pop Mart had to shut all of the stores in the UK because of violence. If that is not a problem that needs to be thought about or addressed, I don't know what is. And, we talk a lot about Gaza and stuff. Like, can you believe there are little kids being shot in the back begging for stale rice? And there are people on Oxford Street fist fighting over Labubus. Like, that's how messed up. That is the perfect example of how messed up the planet is.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I've been thinking, particularly in the last week, about we've talked about the fall of civilizations podcast on
Hmm.
here before, and I've been listening. I think I've listened to about 14 episodes of it now, and I've been thinking a lot about where we are now, currently in human civilization, and I think maybe we are in the fall of human civilization in the modern era, because
Yeah.
and just because we sit here in Europe, you know, and we talk about all these awful things that go on in the world, but we are so inherently guilty and responsible for so many awful things that have happened and continue to happen in the world,
Yeah.
that we cannot, it's actually impossible to extricate ourselves from that completely. And we, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, we can think we're doing the right thing. I think, oh, well, I'm vegan, I don't consume any animal products, I don't wear any animal products, I recycle, I try not to be too materialistic. But everything I do from the moment I wake up is so inherently part of the problem.
I know, but
Everything.
there's being part of the problem by no design of your own, and
Yes,
then there's Labubu hysteria. Do you know what I mean? Like
yes. But what I was going to,
you're not out there buying Labubus, you know?
I'm not. But what I was going to say is that I do wonder sometimes whether it's individual or collectively or consciously or subconsciously, whether we all kind of know that this way of life is just not sustainable. I
Or
mean, when you do.
do we also know that there is no point, so why bother trying?
Yeah, that's what I was going to. I think that maybe, and when you listen to right wing politicians sometimes talking about whatever you know cause they're talking about that week, like stop the boats, or
Hmm.
or fucking Brexit or whatever. Like when they just talk about the sort of xenophobic stuff, and you just think, how can someone think that? I wonder if there is just that sort of underlying component to their thinking that, well, we're on a sinking ship. Let's just it's self-preservation, you know. So
Yeah.
rather than thinking, oh, let's allow people from countries who are facing persecution or starvation or whatever, or whose fucking island nations are being submerged by the oceans because of climate change. Um, instead of letting them in, oh, well, it's not our problem. It's self-preservation. Do you
Yeah.
think do you think partly that ideology is informed by this subconscious understanding that we're fucked, that the world cannot sustain, like everything I'm doing now, talking to you on my computer, made in, made in China, from components from all over the world, probably partially sourced from mining with children involved. Like if you think about every, I've got this plastic ring light in front of me. I'm drinking Ribena from my glass. Like everything that we do is entirely.
Not too much with the Ribena, Sue. We don't want to get cancelled. Who owns Ribena?
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Like,
Know.
don't
Is it
get the
Brit Vic? Is that who owns
I don't know,
Ribena?
but don't get BDS on our backs.
No, we don't want that. But it's a good point. I should look it up. But where was I going with this? But,
We can only
everything.
do better. We can only do better when we know better.
But can we? Can we do better? Can we? We
Well,
can't.
yeah,
Well, we can. That's what I'm
yes,
saying. Like my philosophy around it, I suppose, is that we are human civilization is a sinking ship. It really is. But that doesn't mean we have to be awful to each other as the ship
no,
goes down.
and it doesn't
Um,
mean we need 15 Labubus. Like
no, no.
one other thing about Labubu, just a little side track. Well,
Hmm.
I wanted to say two side points here that are slightly. What's the term we're using? What was the? It's always the sun always shines on TV was,
What,
and it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
what about it?
What's the term we're using? How it's inspired by it?
Oh, indirect influence.
Indirect influence. These
Hmm.
next 2 points are indirectly influenced by the Labubu discussion. The
Okay.
Hong Kong artist who created these series of monsters was born in Hong Kong, right? But he grew up in Utrecht, the Netherlands. He moved there when he was 7, and that's where our friends Joe and Jess live.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I just saw them a few weeks ago. I know that Jess often listens to the podcast. So there is a
Oh, I didn't know
connection
that.
to
Hi, Jess.
there is an Utrecht connection. So I wanted
Hmm.
to stop while we're talking about the connection, Labubu, blah blah blah, and say hi to Jess and Joe. And how
Okay.
far doesn't your auntie live in that sort of direction?
She's about an hour south of them. Yeah.
Okay. Also, could you guess? Obviously, there are fake Labubus on the market all over the world. Even 7-Eleven in the US was taken to court for selling a brand of fake Labubus. Can you guess what they're referred to collectively?
What? Like
Like people know these fake
Real
ones.
and fake Labubus.
No. What are the fake ones known as collectively?
Balulus.
Lafufus.
Lafufus.
Anyway, what can you remember having this sort of hysteria? Like I spoke about Cabbage Patch Kids and Cabbage Patch Dolls before.
Yeah.
What can you remember where people would fight and it was hysteria and everyone needed one in
I
your
remember
lifetime?
Power Rangers around the sort of early 90s, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. Maybe late 80s, early 90s. I remember their Power Rangers toys were quite
But
sought after. I don't think people were fighting over them, but
but don't you think Power Rangers toys or Ninja Turtles were very age demographic specific?
yeah.
Where
Oh,
something
yeah.
like Labubu, you've got Cher showing her new Labubu on Instagram. You've got Lisa from Blackpink. You've got kids in, I don't know, like Newcastle or South Shields fighting for, it's across all demographics and ages, whereas
Right.
Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles were very one I could think of that is cross generational. It was Beanie Babies.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah.
was one where people went wild and people were spending thousands and thousands of pounds or dollars swapping rare ones.
What is it? What does it? So you were saying before you think it feeds into the same sort of neuroreceptors that addiction or drugs or that
Hmm.
dopamine release that drugs provide. You
Yeah.
think because I was thinking about what in your life, what in my life. Like I've had periods in my life where, and you have as well. We would really seek out rare Madonna records, for example,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
CDs, vinyl, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but what in your life now? Is there anything in your life now that you sort of collect or that you seek out or
Well,
that you get that response from?
Well, I don't think so. But weirdly, and this is another pivot, I'm currently reading a book called Food Noise by
Hmm.
Dr. Jack Mosley, and it's about GLP-1 medications like semaglutide and tirzepatide, also known as Ozempic and Mounjaro,
Hmm.
because we've talked a lot about how uh, you and I have talked a lot about Mounjaro and the effects that that medication has on us. This book is fascinating. It's not a massive book. It's very easy to read, but it's an insight into the history of the medications, how they came out in like the 1980s to be used for people with diabetes, and then they discovered that it was effective as a weight loss treatment in conjunction with other tools like support nutrition and exercise. But, and once again, I will 100% need to say we are not doctors and this is not
Hmm.
scientifically sound information. This is just anecdotal evidence. Some of it is scientifically based, but it's from this book that I've been reading. The medicine of these drugs, what do you know what GLP-1
GLP
stands
inhibitor?
for? Yeah, do you know
Oh,
what it stands for? The full
no.
scientific term? I should have written it down. But they've started finding that all of the other things it does for the body that they weren't aware of when they invented the medicine.
Mm.
So it reduces inflammation through the body, like different types of inflammations in different parts of your bodies, and that's organs and uh, tissue, all different parts of your body. It, obviously, some of the benefits are related to weight loss, but some of the benefits they don't think is that there's a direct correlation. That
Yeah.
there's things like reduced risk of heart disease, kidney failure, dementia, Parkinson's, and certain types of cancers. Now,
Hmm.
obviously, you have to take all this not with a pinch of salt, but like you have to be mindful that the research into these benefits is still very young and they
Yeah.
don't really know why it does it.
And
But one of the
it's very hard to do a control group because weight loss is the main effect of these medications. So it's not
yeah,
like you can give that medication to a group of people and
yeah.
then study those that don't have weight loss to see whether they still have reduced incidences of all of those things that you mentioned.
Yeah,
Um,
so one of the other benefits is they believe it plays a significant role in the control of addiction and not just food addiction. So
mhm.
anything that is impulse or reward motivated, whether that be like mental or physical, that somehow this medicine helps interrupt that. and helps you control it. And we both know anecdotally from talking to each other and on the pod that we both have experienced that, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Mounjaro.
Yeah.
So I know that when I first started taking it, the compulsive drive that I had for lots of things, not just food, seemed to dissipate. So obviously it works in a physiological way that it slows down your digestion and it interferes with your hunger receptors or whatever.
Yep.
It works that way, but they believe that it has like a different effect where it interrupts. And so I don't really now feel like I want to collect anything. I don't want to. I even look at like some of the records that I've got here that I've bought, and I think, oh, okay, well, I'm going to move to Australia. I'll probably get rid of some of those records. And in the past, I would have had such a deep attachment problem or dependency on belongings or surrounding myself with things that I wouldn't be able to do that. And I believe that there's a high probability that this drug has put me in this position of not being as dependent on things.
Right.
How about
That's
you? What
interesting.
are your feelings on that?
I mean, the results speak for themselves in terms of food addiction or disordered eating. But I don't know. I still, because when I asked you before, do you have anything today that you collect or avidly, or you feel that urge to possess? I still do have some of those things, but mine are things like plants. So I know I was a few minutes late, getting online to do the podcast today because I was emailing someone about whether they had seeds for a genus of palms, because I'm still
plant nerds.
Yeah, total. Hands up, plant geek, plant nerd. I'm proud of it. But I still am driven to do that, and I don't know where that comes from. I don't know I don't know what inspires that or what my motivation is for that.
Why is that? Why is that seen as more socially acceptable than, or less damaging? Well, I know why it's less damaging than Labubus, because Labubus are wasteful products with plastic and packaging and industry.
Yeah, but
plants give back to the world.
Yeah, but they do, but not without a cost. I grow plants in plastic pots mostly. I grow plants in potting mix. I don't buy potting mix that has peat in it anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the fuck they get all the other stuff from. Obviously, if it says it contains animal products, I won't buy it. But God knows where.
But if it was dug up and sourced by child hands, you don't mind.
That's fine. Obviously not.
Remember that Joan Rivers talking about problematic people, especially her views on Israel. But when she used to make that joke, how she had the Joan Rivers jewelry collection, and she would say she gets them made in factories with children because their little hands are good at making the jewelry.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Joan Rivers. That's we could do a whole episode on Joan Rivers. But yeah, I don't know where that comes from, that urge. And I think I've mentioned it on the pod before, but where I used to work at the plant nursery, we would talk a lot about what is it? Why do some people collect certain groups of plants? Whether that's a plant family, or some people love variegated plants. Some people love particular, types of plants, types of flowers. What is it that makes me so interested in just one very small, where does that come from? And I don't know if that is coming from the same sort of part of the brain.
Well, maybe it's not.
Maybe if you haven't
felt any you haven't felt any interruption to that desire or your love for those plants, maybe it is a different part of your body or brain. Maybe there's a different form of expression or enjoyment that isn't compulsive like it is with food or shopping or phone interactions.
But
I think porn comes from that same obsessive reward system.
Right.
And I think that people get addicted to that. I think that these
Yeah.
sort of surprise unboxings of toys, I think that comes from there. I think food is more complicated because there is also a physical reward element to it as well as the
Hmm.
mental. So I
Hmm.
think it's a bit more complex than that. But maybe plants, maybe they don't come from the same
But then the
place.
other thing that I know I've told you, I don't know if I've talked about it on the pod before, but I stopped drinking alcohol a few years ago for many reasons. Partly
But
just
but but can you just clarify that for the listeners for the pod?
what
I have seen you drink in the last few years.
I know I'm
Are
getting
you-
to that. Don't like I'm getting to that, but like I pretty
and
much.
you have talked on this pod about being hungover.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay. But so I did, but I stopped drinking for a while. I wasn't measuring the time, but I would say I probably stopped drinking for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Um, but since starting the Mounjaro, I've really been craving alcohol, and it's most stuff online says that people who have sort of compulsive drinking or alcoholism, whatever term you identify with, that these drugs tend to help them with that and stop those
Hmm.
compulsive behaviors. But for me, I don't know whether I think, and that could be, this is just my opinion and my experience on this drug, on the Manjaro. My thinking around it is that I used to go to food for my dopamine release or my endorphins,
Hmm.
or to flood those receptors in my brain. I used to go to food. Now that Mounjaro has physically taken away my desire, my appetite. I mean, I still enjoy food sometimes, most of the
Hmm.
time, but I don't physically. It just makes you feel full, so you don't really want to eat as much. So I think that now that source of enjoyment has been taken away, I feel like I've now gone back to alcohol. So I'll often just of an evening have like a little glass of port, and this is something I never would have done
Well,
before.
support.
Um, and
But
so,
that, yeah, that's. Just imagine
or
you
or
sitting
bottle
there,
or
right?
bottle and a half of wine. You know how it is, Sue. Maybe it's not Ribena, Sue.
I'm imagining you sitting in that very spot, sipping on port.
Just and a pipe.
Um, One of my favorite things so far from reading this book, Food Noise by Dr. Jack Mosley, is this term that I'd never heard before, which is malnubesity.
Yeah, you
And
sent me
so
that the other day. Yeah.
there's this mostly modern phenomenon, probably since the 1800s onwards, of food becoming more calorie dense and more processed, I suppose, or more
Hmm.
readily available, but
Hmm.
becoming less nutrient dense.
Right.
And it's created like more cases of obesity in communities
So
and society
can you
all
spell
around the
that
world.
term?
So Malnubesity.
Right.
So we often associate imagery of malnutrition with very skinny or underfed people.
Hmm.
But now I think there is more in Western societies, more malnourished people who are actually obese than there
Right.
are who are
Because
underweight.
calories
No,
don't equal nutrition, or they
and
don't.
and yeah, and so there's a huge problem in public health of people who are obese and malnourished at the same time. And what was really fascinating to me, and I'm learning, a lot about my body on this Mounjaro journey, is that when you are obese, like I still am, but I obviously was much more obese a year and a bit ago, you actually have quite a lot of muscle because of
Hmm. Yeah.
the physical demand of being that overweight.
Well, and the
And
weight you're carrying around with you forces you, whether you like it or not,
yeah,
to build a lot of muscle. Yeah.
and then but when you start losing weight rapidly on these GLP-1 drugs, a lot of what you lose is muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose fat, but your body loses muscle faster than it can lose fat. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
those, what you might see as gains or losses or whatever how you refer to them when you're losing weight, is
Hashtag
actually
gains.
hashtag gains, vegan gains winning. Sometimes, well, all the time, you're losing muscle mass when you're on these drugs. And so a lot of what you think you're losing and see as a positive is actually detrimental to your longer term well-being, because then what happens is you need, sorry, this might be too technical for people, but obviously you need muscle to burn fat, right? And to keep your organs healthy and everything. But if you come off of these drugs and you
And
return to,
burning fat, that's what we're all working towards.
yeah, but when you come off these drugs, 80% of people put weight back on,
Right.
some to varying degrees, but it's harder to build muscle again. So what's happening is a lot of these medicines are being sold unregulated in a way. We buy them without really having any interaction with doctors, apart from a generic AI
Yeah. I
doctor
mean, yes
online or
and
whatever.
no. I think
But
they're real people.
nobody's taking blood tests for you or
No,
measuring
true.
your muscle mass or
But
your bone density.
they are sending they are informing my GP that I'm on the
And then what does your
medication.
GP ever say to you?
Nothing. Just well done.
Right. So one of the this book says one of the longer term concerns that we should have as users or as a society is that obese people rapidly losing weight and muscle mass involved in that weight, putting weight back on. So they've gone from being obese with a certain amount of muscle mass to less weight, but then going back to a similar weight or even just under
Mm-hmm.
with half the muscle mass that they had, or
Right. Yeah.
two-thirds of the muscle mass. And that's called sarcopenic obesity, because sarcopenia is when you lose muscle mass, you have muscle
Right.
wastage
Okay.
as you get older. And
Yeah.
so gaining weight back, any amount of the weight, even if it's just a third of what you've lost, but not
Mm-hmm.
having the muscle mass to
And
support you is,
that's all fat deposits rather than muscle mass. Yeah.
that's highly, highly dangerous for your longer term health. So I find it fascinating. And this is stuff that I knew that I lost muscle mass, but I didn't understand the ramifications. It would not stop me from taking this drug because it has been life changing,
But
and
it's
I think the
something that
benefit.
they don't
Yeah, that's
maybe
not explained
discuss
to you.
enough. Yeah.
No, when you get this, so this doctor is saying this is a great drug overall. Like, he talks
Mm.
about the benefits and the drawbacks or the
Mm-hmm.
negative side effects, but he's saying that not enough people are understanding the signs of what it's doing to your body,
Right. Yeah.
and
I
that
I
it's unregulated.
and I again, not to state the obvious, but yeah, neither of us are doctors or have any
Yeah.
medical training at all. Or whether I was an assistant nurse in a cosmetic surgery clinic once many years ago,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
that's not for here. Um, but there is a huge focus on protein intake in Western society, Eurocentric societies, um, and yes, protein is necessary for building muscle. That's I think that's quite a commonly
Yes.
understood or accepted wisdom
Yeah.
or fact. Um, but obviously, when you're eating less, so not only are you likely to be losing muscle through a calorie deficit, but I wonder if eating less overall means that it's like what's the expression, like a double, not like a double negative, but then you're
It's double whammy.
doubly fucked from because then you're not eating.
It's a double-ended dildo.
Yeah. Um, because you're not eating enough, whether it's protein rich or not, to build more muscle. I
That's right.
wonder.
It's exactly that. Well, I
And
mean, we know it without even knowing the scientific words to say, but if you don't eat enough
yeah,
nutrients,
yeah,
you do not build, your body can't do not just build muscle, but it can't do the other functioning vital things
functions.
that it needs
Well,
to do.
and that's where I was going to go. So, I mean, I hope this isn't too personal, and I don't know if you've had this experience or not, but I have recently, if you go back a few episodes, I don't know, you can just see on my arm there, I've got that
Yes.
mark. So
Yeah.
because I do a lot of gardening, I get a lot of cuts and grazes. Um, I wear gloves when I remember, but sometimes then I don't wear the long gloves, and so I often get like cuts and grazes on my arm. So for the last, I don't know, 6 weeks, I've had something on my leg, something on my arm that both of them were not, they weren't deep cuts, but both of them took an abnormally long time to heal, and
Yeah.
both of them started to get infected as well. To the point where I almost had to go to the doctor. So I was doing all the right things. I washed the cuts as soon as they happened. I disinfected them, blah, blah, blah. I was, cleaning them every day and disinfecting them every day, but still they both got infected. And both of them, I mean, it doesn't look gross now, but a week ago, even if you go back a couple of episodes on the podcast, you can probably, I was very conscious of it. At the one point I raised my arm up and there was this horrible sort of infected thing on my arm.
Yeah.
And I went online and, I know Reddit is not the fucking source of all true information in the world, but it does seem that people on these drugs, on these appetite suppressing drugs, have experienced, like anecdotally, a lot of other people on these drugs have experienced grazes and cuts that took an abnormally long time to heal, and also spots as well. Like if you get like a
Yes.
pimple, they take an
Yeah. Well,
abnormally long time to heal.
I've got like, there's a little dot here.
Yeah,
I've got a dot here. They were kind of like sore spots that
yeah,
developed.
yeah.
It feels like, and I've got one on my arm here as well. I feel like it's like scurvy or something, because I keep imagining I've got scurvy because I'm not eating enough
Well,
vitamin,
yeah, and this is what people were saying on this Reddit thread, that was that, yeah, well, it's, and this is, again, it's not medically backed, but they were saying if you are in a calorie restricted, not calorie restricted, but if you're in a calorie deficit, which is what these
Yes.
drugs do,
Yeah.
then your body's not going to be able to heal itself as well or as quickly. And so, yes, even though these drugs have an anti-inflammatory effect on organs and cells and stuff like that, the fact that you're in a calorie deficit means that you are going to be more susceptible to certain things. And
Yes.
again, that's not something that's talked about or mentioned by
No.
the
Do you know what's
prescriber.
weird? When people talk to me about the potential side effects, or I talk to people about, having this sore on my hand that took a week to get better, I still, in my mind, I'm making the judgment call of, in the long term, what is better for me. I
Mm-hmm.
feel it's better to be 46 kilos lighter and not be diabetic.
Is that how much weight you've lost? 46 kilos.
Yeah, since I started this job, I've lost
Wow.
46 point something kilos. That's a lot. Like these drugs, when you read all of the studies, these drugs, people can lose usually about 20%
Mm-hmm.
of their weight. But I was 143 kilos and I've lost 46. What percentage of my body weight is that? Is that like a third or?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'd be like 27% or something, wouldn't it?
And so I'm not saying I've lost 46 kilos of fat. I understand that a large proportion of that is muscle mass. That's why I go to the gym 3 times a week. I only do very light weights and do some cardio to try and redress some of that. But when I look at the negative side effect, like loss of muscle mass, some of these uncomfortable sores sometimes, against the risk that I was at of high blood pressure, heart disease, heart incidences, diabetes, all of that, I'm happy at the moment with the judgment call I've made to stay on the medicine,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I wish there was more support from the NHS around these drugs and the management of these drugs. It's kind of like they don't want, because I'm not entitled to get it through the NHS, they don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day, sort of, yeah, I won't dox them, but I was helping someone move the other week, and they were talking about they're on the waiting list, on the NHS waiting list for what do they call it? Is it bariatric surgery?
Uh-huh.
Stomach
Yep.
stapling, as it's commonly
Yeah.
referred to. And I just thought, why the fuck is the NHS still putting money towards that? Because
Well,
I said to
yeah.
them, has your GP talked to you about any of the, the weight loss injections? Because I know that Mounjaro is not easy to get on the NHS, so it's nigh on
No.
impossible. But the other ones
Yeah.
are like Ozempic and Wegovy, I think. And they said no, and I just thought, why the fuck?
Well, do you know that I've spoken on the pod about this? I think in one of the Mounjaro specific episodes,
Hmm.
I was on. I was going through like referred by the eating disorder clinic for my compulsive eating, and the NHS had to put me through this program where I had to have interviews and meetings about being on the waiting list for the bariatric surgery
Mm-hmm.
because there was no other form of treatment or help that they would give me to help me manage my compulsive eating. And I said to them, this is very extreme.
I know, like,
Like,
not only does like is bariatric surgery, it has some really long term, really negative side effects,
yeah,
but also any form of surgery is expensive and risky. Like it carries
risky.
more expense and more risk than
I think I
other.
think it I think it's more affordable long term to have people on GLP-1 drugs than it is to have surgery.
I would
Because
think
also
so.
with the surgery, there's so much follow-up and consultations. And I mean, there should be more with these Manjaros and stuff. There should be more support. But yeah, surgery costs. I mean, just for one person to have surgery, not you're in the program for a year before they'll give it to you. You're in the program for years afterwards. You've got all these meetings and workshops and
Hmm.
video calls. It got to the point where they said to me, you have to do all of these programs with us and discussions and Zoom calls if you want to stay on our books as somebody with
For the
compulsive
surgery.
eating.
Hmm.
Well, for
Or
anything,
just to stay,
for any
right?
help related to your weight management,
Hmm.
you need to go through and have these meetings about bariatric surgery. I went through
Hmm.
hours and hours of these meetings. And when they said, okay, we want to book you in for your surgery, I said, I don't want surgery. And they said, well, why are you in all these meetings? And I said, because you told me that if I didn't sign up for these talks about the surgery, you would discharge me from weight management or support around my compulsive eating.
Hmm.
And they said, yeah, well, that's how it works. And I said, this is such a waste of everybody's time.
And
And they
money.
said, okay, well, we're discharging you then. And I was like, okay, well, thanks for nothing for
Yeah.
over 2 years of my life.
Yeah.
Thanks for not helping me. And so, you know, it's just unbelievable to me that's the state of play with it all. But anyway,
Hmm.
it's hard to recommend for us to recommend go and see your GP because my experience is my GPs haven't been very helpful or insightful around these medications.
No.
Like I'm reading
No.
books, I'm reading like Reddit, I'm reading um, mostly anecdotal things from people because the
You've been
medical
doing your own
community,
research, so.
doing my own research, see, the medical community here isn't very supportive or knowledgeable about,
No.
like, there have been some doctors when I say tirzepatide to them, they say, what's that? And
I
that to
don't
me is
understand
staggering.
how a medical doctor cannot know the name of a drug which is
Well,
so widespread.
yeah.
I just,
More unbelievable that you didn't know what Labubu was.
I'll say, or Lafufu.
Well, can I, before we go,
Wasn't
can
there?
I talk?
Sorry, just to go back to that. Wasn't there a drag queen called like Honey Labubu or something?
There's Honey LeBronx.
No, I thought there was a.
Honey LeBronx was the vegan drag queen from New York who was friends with Bob the drag queen.
Hmm. There
And
wasn't a drag queen with like the Labubu as the last name or something.
I don't know. Possibly.
Hmm.
I would say so. With the amount of drag queens there are on the planet,
Well,
I'd
yeah.
imagine somebody somewhere. And now that Labubu is popular, there will be definitely some variation of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or there'll be like Lafufu.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just mention briefly before we go, I went to see the new Superman movie. Hill and I went to see the new Superman movie. Do
Uh-huh.
you know who is playing Superman in this movie?
I do not.
Okay. You were a fan of, or you enjoyed that Ryan Murphy show, The Politician,
Yes.
with Ben Platt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the guy who was kind of the lead guy called River?
Yes. Who
He
died
was
in
really
like the second
handsome. Yeah.
episode or whatever.
He's now Superman.
What's his name? The actor?
His name is David Corenswet. I
Okay.
think that's how you pronounce it. And he was also, so these were 1990, no, 19, 2019, 2020, right? He was also in that other Ryan Murphy show called Hollywood.
Yeah.
Remember that? And he played like, he worked at the gas station and wanted
Yes.
to be a
Yeah.
star.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was in that, and he was in
The
The
Politician.
Politician. And now he's like, and I remember saying, I think I said it to you at the time, I said to you, I think that guy could be like a megastar Hollywood blockbuster
Well,
actor. I think
that's
that,
that's the role he was cast in Hollywood. It was
yeah,
that, it was
someone
going
on
to
that
be like Rock
trajectory.
Hudson or something, or
Yeah.
Jimmy Dean or something.
So now, anyway, he's playing Superman, but I really enjoyed it. I
Do
got
you
tearful in it.
do you think in another 30 years he might turn around and sign up to join ICE like Dean Cain? Have you heard
He
about
seems
that?
a bit. Yes, what a absolute nightmare. David seems more progressive, and in this movie, actually, like, it's being accused by right wing pundits of
Let me
being
guess.
too
Too woke?
progressive.
Too
Well, I'm
woke?
not going to say that word anymore. It winds
I
me
know.
up so
I'm
much.
using it. I'm using it.
But
Ironically.
there's the storyline. Do you want me to give you a spoiler? You're not going to go see it?
No, I won't.
So it starts with the aftermath of Superman getting involved in a country invading another country,
Mhm.
and it's got, I won't even say undertones, overtones of Israel and Palestine, and
Okay.
him saying that the Israeli identifiable country is in the wrong by invading this country. And it's quite interesting. So a lot of people are saying, hey, yeah, Superman's gone too progressive, or social justice warrior.
Okay.
And what's also interesting is, all of those movies like Spider-Man and Fantastic, whatever, all those movies, traditionally, they're very pro-American.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember at that around 9/11 when there was that Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire, and the end shot is him spinning a web and flying past an American flag being raised, or they talk about Superman being like a good American citizen.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of this movie, when he has his big showdown with somebody, and because he's being referred to as an illegal alien, because he's actually an alien, from kryptonite, and they keep referring to him as an alien.
Mm-hmm.
And he does this big, heart-wrenching speech at the end where he talks about, and you think he's going to say the words, I'm not Superman, I am and you think he's going to say American, and he says, I'm a human. And so it's the whole story of the movie is about humanity should be one, and he doesn't ever say anything about proud to be an American or anything like that. He's proud to look after people all over the planet. And I found it really refreshing to have a movie. It's still problematic in lots of other ways, but it was, it's sweet. I got a little bit emotional of the nostalgic feeling of it,
Okay.
like, I mean, Superman is one of those things
set in modern era?
Yes.
Current era.
So,
I wish he'd turn. I was hoping you were going to say he turns around and says, "I'm not Superman. I'm a shit kicker and a thief," or something. Like something really outrageous, like John Waters. Or
I wanted
I'm
him
not
to say,
Superman. I'm a model and an actress.
I wanted him to say, I don't speak German, but I can if you like. Ow!
That would make me want to see it.
And then, like, start duck walking, like voguing in the. What memories of Superman do you have through your life? What variations of it are like prominent to you?
Well, I mean, for me, it was always the Christopher Reeves original, trilogy. How many Superman films did they make with him? 3?
Maybe 4.
4. Anyway, it was, and I remember as a teenager when I started getting into drugs and getting stoned and like watching those films. Then becoming obsessed with oh God, what's her name? Who played Lois Lane? Margot Kidder.
Margot Kidder.
And but as I've mentioned on the podcast many times now, Supergirl was always my thing with Faye Dunaway, and
well, you might be excited then. This is an absolute spoiler for everybody. We're at the end anyway, so switch off now. Your views already count. Don't worry about supporting us. If you don't want to hear what I'm going to give you this spoiler. at the very end of the Superman film, there was a cameo, like this person tumbles into scene, and it's somebody in a super cape and everything, and it's his cousin, Supergirl. And so they're making Supergirl movie. It's coming out next year.
And who's
so you
playing
might be interested.
Supergirl?
Well, I didn't know. I was looking at her and I was like, who's that? And I had to go online and look it up. It's somebody called Millie Alcock, or Amelia Alcock. She was born in Sydney and went to the Newtown High School of the Performing Arts.
Oh, wow.
And I found that really exciting. You know where that is, right? That school, remember in Newtown where that school was on the high street there?
No. What?
On the main road?
On King Street.
Yeah, it was just near the station. And so I found that really exciting. And she's a somewhat known, famous...
Oh, yeah, no,
awarded...
I do know where it is. Yeah.
So Millie is a somewhat awarded, recognized TV star and miniseries movie actor in Australia.
Okay.
And this is her first massive role. And she's like the lead in Supergirl coming out next year. So she's in it for like 60 seconds at the end, you know, to prime the audiences.
Okay.
But what was really cute is he's got his dog with the little Superman cape on that flies and fights with him. It was very touching. I found it enjoyable, entertaining. It wasn't a groundbreaking film, but David is like a real movie star. Like the lead guy, you know, that we talked about from the Ryan Murphy shows, he is like made to be Superman. It was very, very good. But I would recommend going to see it if you're in the mood for a popcorn sort of movie where you just want to switch off.
It's the sort of thing I might watch on a long haul flight. I don't think I would go to the cinema to see it. We should wrap up though. Speaking of the end, but just quickly, the Queer Open Mic 3rd anniversary is on the 31st of August. So by the time this episode comes out, you'll still have time to make plans to come to London and join us. We're going to have some great performers, some giveaways, some goodie bags. So do come and celebrate with us. You can find all the information on my social media, which is Josh and the Jumpstarts. Also stream my music on Spotify, please. Thank you. All right.
And you can go to fatgayvegan.com where that information also sits. And also there's a link there to buy tickets for a fundraising dinner that I'm hosting in Shoreditch on the 1st of September, raising money for an animal sanctuary. So if you'd like to come along and talk about Labubu, Lafufu, or Superman, come, or Jehovah's Witness. Do not come if you're a Jehovah's Witness. Or at least don't talk. You can, but don't talk to anyone about it. But anyway, that's me.
Don't mispronounce proselytize when you come.
Yeah.
All right. Until then, please click subscribe, hit like, smash that like button. Keep burning that fat and making those gains. And we'll see you next week.
The visceral fat, and try not to be malnutritious. How would you even say that? Malnutritious?
No, malnutritious. You beast. All right. Bye, folks.
Yeah, see you. Bye.